Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to go over a topic that I've actually done a video or two on before, and that is the topic of heat versus ice. Okay, thermotherapy versus cryotherapy. I get the question all the time. Should I be heating this? Should I be icing this? The athlete will walk in saying, "Hey, do you have any ice?" They won't even ask for the evaluation. They just think they know the answer, and it's ice. When in reality, what I've been trying to get the point across is a lot of the research is leaning away from cryotherapy and towards heating injuries. So I encourage you to stick around. I've got 3 or 4 pretty good points. I've tried to compile a lot of the really medical, wordy terminology into more general knowledge terms. So I think you're going to enjoy this one. Stick around, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, so check it out. Where did this come from, right? Why is ice so ingrained in our society? Well, the first off, I'd like to say that it's kind of not always been the case. In 1978, this guy, Dr. Gabe Merkin, he came out with this acronym RICE, rest, ice, compression, elevation, and we all know it. And his theory was basically saying that inflammation is bad. We need to prevent secondary cell tissue damage from these huge, swollen ankles and swollen joints. And the best way to do that is to ice it. It's the best analgesic or pain reliever there is, and by slowing down the metabolism of the local joint, we can prevent this huge swelling and inflammation to occur. Shortly thereafter, within the next 20 years or so, the research started to show. We'll say late 90s, early mid 2000s. There, a lot of the research was pointing towards ice not being as beneficial as we once thought. It wasn't quite where we are now, but it was already saying ice. Let's pump the brakes on this whole ice thing. So even Merkin himself wrote a couple forwards to books that are anti-ice. He's done his own blogging and public speaking about the benefits of heating injuries. So basically, that leads us in a void of what to do. We've been so ingrained in ice everything that we say, oh, well, we revert back to it when we don't know what to do. So I like to tell people, first off, the inflammatory process is a good thing, right? When the body, it occurs naturally in the body, and an injury occurs, inflammation occurs naturally, and it sends a signal to the body to send in the troops, right? We need to repair this structure, send everyone, right, immediately. So what icing does is it decreases local metabolism, and it basically really slows that process down and almost halts it, saying like, well, yeah, this ligament is damaged, but like let's hold on a little bit before we start repairing it. So in general terms, we're finding out that that's essentially us delaying the healing process, which in the sports world, right, we want to get better as fast as we can. So inflammation is good for the body. The part that's not great is the swelling. Okay, so the huge swollen ankles and swollen elbows and shoulders and things of that nature, that has to get taken care of by the lymphatic system. Okay, and in order to do so, we need our blood vessels to be increased, right? Vasodilate. We need our limbs, in a state where they can actually remove some of that swelling. So when we ice things, we vasoconstrict. We make things smaller. We kind of close off the capillary beds. We cool the skin temperature. We basically do all things we're not really trying to do, because it goes against getting rid of the swelling. So again, inflammation process is a good thing. Swelling is a bad thing. Heating immediately, I also am not totally keen on. Right. So stick with me here. The kind of main point I want to make here is to give you a timetable of what to do once you get hurt. So, and stick around, because they're all kind of, there's a process to it. 0 to 24 hours post injury. My recommendations are to elevate the limb if possible, especially if it's a lower extremity limb. That's fairly easy to do. Uh, Begin gentle range of motion, so it should be relatively pain free, maybe mild discomfort, but that gentle range of motion is going to, number one, keep the range of motion you have, and number two, it's going to um, allow the blood vessels to vasodilate, the lymphatic system to kick in, and kind of begin to remove some of that swelling while the inflammatory process is still occurring and sending in the good guys. Okay. Um, 24 to 72 hours is kind of my time range. I like to say the same exact thing: elevate, gentle range of motion. You could do passive massage here, either on yourself or have a therapist or athletic trainer or someone help you out. This is where we add in the heat. So 24 to 72 hours post, we start to add in our heating modalities: hot packs, pads from a hydroculator, jacuzzis, you name it. Even a topical like a salon pass kind of heating patch. We want to bring in, the troops, encourage them, bring them in faster, right? Increase the local metabolism. And this is where I also like to start active recovery. So maybe it's a form of a stationary bike or elliptical or upper body ergometer arm bike. Key here is it's like 40 to 50% intensity. It should be very easy on the joints in the body. And basically what we're trying to do is get a light sweat going to basically further kind of increase the removal of the swelling and the damaged tissue. And then my recommendation for 72 hours post is basically our goals are the same. Increase the range of motion a little bit further, because now we want full range of motion. We want to continue to heat to encourage blood flow in and out. We also now want to encourage light resistance or add light resistance, because the goal here is once we get full range of motion, we now want to add in light resistance to get back to full strength. And then the timetable just continues from there. Not to get too wordy, but then it's light resistance to moderate resistance to heavier resistance, because we need to get our function back, and then we need to get back into our specific sports and things of that nature. So I know this got a little bit longer than my usual videos, but I really want to keep hammering the point of try to avoid just reverting right to ice bags and cryo packs and things of that nature, because if you're following the research, you will get better healing, quicker healing with the avoidance of ice and the addition of heat. So look this up, please. The MLB, the Major League Baseball Association, they have so much money invested in their athletes that they were the ones to kind of really spearhead this. And just think real quick. You used to see these pitchers packed in ice in the dugout immediately after they're throwing. You don't see that anymore, ever. Right? They're now running poles. They're doing light resistance. They're doing some gentle stretching, massages, things of that nature. So look it up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. I'm just here to give you the information. So, and if you like this information, please like and subscribe. If you have a difference of opinion or just something to add, please comment it below. I would love to kind of hear from all of you guys. I try to answer all of them, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. Hey, thank you for following to the end.